Testing. One, two, three. Testing. One, two, three. Testing. One, two, three. Okay. Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, power, and glory, yours now and forever. Your Son, our Lord, who sits at your right hand, Jesus Christ. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yes, I know. Okay, come on. Come on. Yes. Welcome to Friday. Lots happen. I'm going to comment on one thing. Okay. Number one, in my opinion, and I can say that my opinion is pretty good because I have family that goes back to the beginning. That's right, to the Revolutionary War. They did not want people who served in government to make a living serving in government. It was supposed to be like jury duty. You take it all in seriously, you want to do it, you take an oath to uphold the Constitution, but you can't wait till it's over. So you can go back to your family, two things. If you look at everybody, and I mean everybody, I'm not everybody who's been into the Congress of the United States for any period of time, they went in with a lot less than they have now, and they are doing things and they make all kinds of excuses. Okay. Why are we again 42 days out from a shutdown again? Okay. I do not, there is no excuse for this. None. Oh, you can say anything you want against the Democrats, but I can tell you this: they are lockstep unified, including their main mass media. They get their talking points at 3 o'clock in the morning, and you will see all of them like Nazi little Gestapo foot soldiers walking in lockstep. I do not see how anything will change. I do not see how anything is going to avert the inevitable. What's the inevitable? Everybody said we might be in a recession next year, and we no, we're in a recession right now. Right now, we're in a recession. What are we going? A Great Depression. You don't believe me? Do you see what's happening in China? Do you see the bankruptcies? Do you see the thievery and everything else? It's all imploding on itself. You think that is it's just there. What do you have with crime or so-called shrinkage and the closing of stores without any ramification to you're looking at people who saved their life saving gone, small business gone, that's gone. What do you think's going to happen? Did you realize that over 80%, I forget, 83% of jobs are from small businesses? That's what employs people. And yet, with the real inflation rate being at 14%, really 14%. You don't believe me? Look at the M2 B1 money figures. Yeah, I worked as a control. I know what I'm talking about. Okay. I was on Wall Street, did all this. Okay. You can't just print this stuff and have absolutely no respect and regard for anything. No, doesn't work that way. Okay. And the real money, the real money, the real money is energy, whether it's in the form of this is energy. Took energy to grow it, took energy to make it. There was solar energy involved in growing it. There was fossil energy, natural gas, biodegrading matter involved in baking it, right? Okay. That's what's real. Okay. He needs that. You know, basically, you're not gonna believe this. This is old technology. This is the technology that got the Mayflower and Captain Cook around the world. This, believe it or not, this milk bone, this one, this is hardtack. This was packed up in barrels, but they were shape of biscuits, and they were used with hot water and other things to make meals that the crew would eat. Okay, doesn't it just no it doesn't go bad. It doesn't. It's amazing, amazing stuff. Okay. Um, of course, yes, a salted pork and salted fish, and they did a regular fishing and everything else. Amazing. Um, we're sitting on, okay, energy reserves that are greater than the rest of the world, really. Okay, but that's it's just that's not going to get us into the real 21st century. Um, We're not gonna do it with fusion because fusion the fuel source has to be too pure. Um, Thorium is the way to do it. And we have, I don't know, at least 5,000 years of thorium. And we have a ton of we have you basically can go into your backyard and dig rock and you'll come out with thorium. It's that now it's unlike uranium, it's a fertile. But the point is that it has a million and a half times more energy in that than oil. You could you could put a block of 40 by 40 by 40 of coal, solid anthracite, pure coal, and it would be equivalent to what can I show you? About this much thorium. Yeah. You're saying what? We have the technology? Yes, we've had it. You ready? We've had it since 1953. Yeah. Weissman, guy who invented the other nuclear reactor, he invented this and he did it for the Air Force. And yes, they had it running, a reactor with the highest temperatures running all the way to 1973 when Nixon gets a call from GE saying terminate the project. And that's exactly what they did. Another corrupt politician. Okay. It's not like I'm against oil, I'm against the cost of oil, including if the cost comes down to, and it'll never get lower than 45, $40 a no. That's like the breaking point, here. It's too expensive, way too expensive, okay? But we need that as a transition. We need a transition. You're not gonna throw away $14 trillion of machinery, industry, workings, and everything that depend on natural gas, depend on oil for their procedures. You're not going for their machines. Whether it's farming, at the rate we farm today in this country, we farm the same way in 1930. You'd need 50 acres for every single acre we plant today, here, now. And it's even more, there's even more things, hydroponics, there's other types of technologies that are coming, and it's to where that you'll see literally hydroponic centers cropping up. What are they? What's holding them back? Electricity. You need electricity to be at about 13 cents a kilowatt, if not less, and then there'll be an explosion. There won't be any more farms for farming. They'll be doing other things. It just, it won't pay because you'll have hydroponics, you'll have all that kind of stuff local. And what's the determination is energy. That's what the determination is. The focus on everything is energy. Whether you eat it, whether you drive it, whether you whatever, energy. This whole electric vehicle thing is a facade. It is false. It is junk science. The only reason why Elon Musk got into it is because the government was giving a specific subsidy, and the man made billions on that subsidy. I am not knocking him for doing it. It's smart. So that's the key. The key is energy, using it. What do we have to focus on? We have to get, Trump was doing it. The problem that I have with Trump was he should have got in front of the United Nations when he was there, and he should have did a presentation on energy, and he should have invited Flybe Energy, Kirk Sorensen, which he gave the green light on, which they were doing things. He should have been talking about this. Does oil and do they put? You ready for this? There's more energy in coal as thorium than burning it. That's the crime. And God, why would you want to burn coal? That coal that we have is like the perfect coal to make graphite and graphene and all kinds of graphene and graphite stuff. You don't want to burn that. That's like the steel of the 21st century. The problem with today is that we don't have anybody speaking up for science, the reality of how things work. How do things work? How does this phone work? How much of this is in this and why? How much of this is in a solar panel and why? What is that? That, my friends, is silver. Silver is a rare earth. That means it's hard to get, very hard to get, but it has properties that no other metal has. as far as conducting electricity, as far as um, how it is as a fighter of and it's part of the same thing. Antibiotics and bandages, how it is works in specific circuits because of the lower resistance. I mean, there's all kinds of reasons why you need silver. I'm not going to get into all of them. It's the same thing for gold. Gold has certain specific properties. You can dig up a gold doubloon that's been in the ocean for 400 years and it will not be corroded in any way, shape, or form. That's amazing. So obviously, it has fantastic properties and fantastic applications in the human body. I say why? Because there's not much difference between your blood and the ocean when it comes to corrosiveness. It's true. So that's why they make pacemakers and other types of devices out of gold casings. Okay. Now, we need to get off oil. Why? Too expensive and it pollutes the land, pollutes the water, pollutes the air. I already told you about coal. Coal, you shouldn't be burning the stuff. It's way more valuable as graphite and graphene. And I believe it's a missing factor puzzle. One of the three ingredients in the holy grail of tech, one of the holy grails of tech, which is room temperature superconductivity. Room temperature superconductivity, you're going to find, and they were close, silver, a little bit, sprinkling, just a tiny bit, sprinkling, pretend it's boron, little bit. We don't know the exact combinations, okay? And then coal, graphene, yeah. And what do you get? You get a conductor that has no resistance. If we can get that at room temperature, I'm all for electric stuff then. Because what will you have? You'll have a supercapacitor. You'll have engines that are 100% efficient. 100%. You can transmit electricity 100% efficiency. You will actually be able to capture a bolt of lightning. Think of it. You can go to with your electric car and recharge it with a capacitor, supercapacitor, in as little as 5 minutes. And you'll be able to have that power to do it. Right? They'll actually probably make kits to take my van and turn it into an electric conversion with room temperature superconductors. Biden, in his infinite wisdom, canceled the program that two universities, MIT and Stanford, were working on. And believe me, they were close. They were very close. Flibe Energy got canceled, all kinds of therms that got canceled, and room temperature stuff that got canceled. What kind of the most expensive and most inefficient way to make electricity? The only way that it works out is if you take solar panels and you put them into space, outer space. But you see, the problem is you can't just do that. You can't just snap your finger and put them up in space. You have to get them up in space. That's the problem. But that's the only way that they pay. And the amount of rare earths, the glass, the silicone, the aluminum, all the things, and the silver that goes into making them. Like the windmills. All those windmills are built with components from China. Why are they doing this? What goes in and out of Long Island Sound twice a day? Oh, and it's raging. We're talking anywhere between 7.5 to 8 knots. That's why they call it the race. Okay. You're like, well, what are you doing? In Huntington Harbor, you have 8 to 9 foot tides. You have a pond. You can look it up on Google Maps. The Mill Pond in Huntington that was built in the 1600s. So the expense of this was just they built it then. Okay. Then it ran for a century, grinding wheat, cutting lumber, doing whatever they needed to do. How? The tide comes in, it fills up this big pond, they close the doors, and they run all the water through this wheel. Does it is it needs rain? No. It's tidal. As long as the moon is going around the earth, it's going to work. Would you think that would be a good thing to focus on? We could do this, especially in the higher latitudes where you have 14-foot tides. It's free. So it's going to work no matter what. Is that what they want? They don't want this. This is what they want. They don't want this green plant here. They don't want the green. They want this. They're lying to you about everything. When Bible study Johnny is on Wednesday. Okay, so I devoted a full hour on Wednesday to the Bible. All right, so I changed because there's lots of the things to discuss. It's not that I don't want to discuss it. It's just that I put aside a separate day to talk about things like that. So make a comment on that. We will talk about that. Um, you can you don't need to do this, Johnny. Right? No, Johnny, you don't need to grow gold. Guess where there's more gold than ever any place has ever mined ever. But 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 the ocean. If you have basically free energy, you can basically electrically, and the Nazis were doing this. You can look at the history books. Make gold from the ocean. A lot of gold's in the ocean. Okay, but then you have to say to yourself, okay, well, but why do I need it? What's the real commerce? The real commerce about anything, really. Gold has very good reasons for being gold, and gold has very good industrial reasons for being gold. And right now we're trading, but when energy becomes so cheap that you'll literally be able to have a ship with a lifter reactor on it, don't be surprised if you don't see people like Elon Musk take old tankers and old ships and and then retrofit them and have them go out onto the ocean and actually mine for gold. And what they're doing is they're just a matter of processing and pumping water through their systems and then electrically bringing the gold out of the solution of the water. And then the prices will go like this. And then, you know, it won't, again, it's all about energy. That's really what the whole cyber currency is all about. And no, I don't tell you to go into it. Don't go into it. But the reason why the worth is because the calculation is as that it takes X amount of energy to make a specific Bitcoin. That's where all the value comes from. You can't just print it from nothing. You have to do work to get it. Okay, but what's eventually going to happen? Again, with this same thing. Okay, you can have a photon computer. A photon computer can do a million. It'll be able to do all the bitcoins that there ever was going to be in maybe a minute. All the cyber currencies you have, maybe I don't know. It would take longer to code for it than it will be for it to actually run and do it. Why? Because a photon computer is not based upon the limits of even a superposition. It has quantum tangling in it, but unlike you have an unlimited breadth of photons, even just 16 color um, photon computer with, say, 6 nodes, and you have teleportation and entanglements. Forget it. I mean, it's, I don't know, conservative to 8, 10 million times faster than the world's fastest quantum computer today. Maybe, maybe faster. I have no idea. A lot faster. So you're talking that something that is, it just changes everything. You see, but you need, that's the other step you need in oh no, the holy grail of tech. You need room temperature superconductivity, you need photon computers, and then you need some type of sustainable, easy, cheap, clean, and efficient nuclear power. Eventually, you want fusion, but in order to get that fusion and efficiently and safely, you really need the photon computer. So you need the power. Power you have with a lifter, a thorium reactor, molten salt thorium reactor. You have that. So you, with these three things, you'll get the fourth. When you have everybody's needs met, there's no more want. Then you'll have two classes of people. You'll have the people who want to do something like my sons, right? You'll have people like that. And you'll have the people who just want to be in a virtual reality and, excuse my language, ladies, masturbate to whatever all day, whether it's whatever, doesn't matter. It's not real. And, but fine, whatever. Okay. That's not what God wants, but believe me, there's a lot of people doing that now. A lot of people are taking these games, social media, whatever it is, whatever their thing is, and they are flushing their lives away doing that. So silver, but also um okay, Johnny. This is truth. There's certain specific nuclear things that can happen, specifically with photons. Um and with like the hydrogen boron. I'm going to specifically talk about the hydrogen boron. Okay. Hydrogen boron. You can look it up. Um, this is a technology that was first created or discovered back in 1963. The energy coupling to the ground state is so pure that there are no subatomic particles that are released in this. Instead, it's just light. Whether you realize it or not, gamma rays is light. It's form of light. Um, and you can take specific light of any specific nature and you can convert it. Okay, there are ways to convert that light. I'm not saying the conversion is 100% efficient. It is not. But I'm saying that there's so much energy in the reaction because it's a nuclear event. so much energy that it doesn't matter if you can convert it with only a 65% efficiency rating. The only thing that matters is the heat rejection, which you can handle if your fuel source is liquid hydrogen. Okay. Similar to the process of the F1 engines, whereby they ran the liquid oxygen around the nozzles, okay, to keep them cool, but also preheat the liquid oxygen so that when it entered the combustion, that it wasn't taking that energy to make it into the gaseous state. It was already in a specific gaseous state. And those nozzles had to be fine tuned by hand on each engine. They were totally unique. It's almost some other analogy would be even though you measure and you count and you do everything, okay, when you build a Tesla coil, even where the secondary coil is attached to the primary choke point and the spark gap, there is a, a tuning that has to occur, and that tuning is related to the exact length of that to create the exact perfect resonance, the harmonic that's coming up and down in the stack of the coil. Okay. So a lot of things are like that. A lot of things. This specific type of reaction that I'm talking about is a lot like that. Okay. It has to be specifically hand tuned to the specific components that you're putting together. Um, there is no way to do it any other way. Now they've developed new stuff, solid state things, but they are nowhere near the amount of energy and nowhere near the efficiency of that type of nuclear event. Um, how can I put this? I can't talk about that. Unfortunately, I can't talk about that. There, there would be a violation. Took an oath, my friend. It's till I die. I mean, I guess I'll spew it. My eldest son probably, he probably knows. So, but um, it's the way. The thing that I'm worried about now is the abuse, the tyranny, the misinformation. As I said to you, I'm only going to tell you the truth. I do not put things up for clickbait. I do not make sensational stuff. I only have real time right now 5 people watching this. And I thank you and I bless you people for coming and watching this. And I hope that you share this. What you have to do and what you have to count on is two separate things. You have to plan for the worst and you have to hope for the best. So the first thing I always say is if you haven't read the Bible, read read John. Okay. Get your Bible and read it. Read John. Then read Matthew. Then read anything you want. Get saved. That's the first thing. Next thing. In order for you to do and what God wants you to do, you have to prepare for the inevitable. I will tell you that I think this is what Johnny's getting into. So I I foresee, and it's amazing, but they want you to take a mark. Now, the mark is going to be, unfortunately, um, made to you, to which that they're going to push or pressure you as much as possible, in the way that if you don't take the mark, your children are going to suffer. If you don't take the mark, you're going to suffer. If you don't take the mark, your wife is going to suffer. If you don't take the mark, you can't buy, trade, sell, do anything, function, whatever. Okay, I'm gonna do a special on this. Don't take the mark. Okay, don't take it. All right, it's a mark on your hand, for it, whatever. Okay, don't do it. Pray. Keep saying, "Jesus, help me," and everything you can, but don't do it. Don't deny your Lord and Savior Jesus, no matter what. Don't do it. Don't compromise on your beliefs, no matter what. Don't do it. You you can't say the truth in something, say no comment. If you can't say that, say I have a right to remain silent, period. A matter of anything. If somebody wants to, because they're going to try to do things, you say, I have no comment. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to, nope. That's what you say. I have no opinion. I, I have no knowledge. I do not know. Oh, that's true. I have no idea about these 81 I have no clue. No, no, no. I don't know. I know some of the names. Nope, I'm out of knowledge. I don't know whatever. I don't understand. I tell a joke. I said, it's amazing. I went to Citibank and I identified myself as Elon Musk, and I asked them to give me $125,000. It's just pocket change. Not, you know, they wouldn't do it. Amazing. They wouldn't do it. When is it going to happen that a person is going to say, I identify myself as a Navy jet fighter pilot who has over 3,000 hours, and just let me into that $43 million F 35, and I'm going to do it and have a nice day? What's the difference? What's the difference? And you know what? I identify myself as having 5 PhDs, and I say that I should be able to write prescriptions and yeah, and get all the drugs that I want to get, and yeah, yeah. It's like that Saturday Night Live guy used to do that ticket, thing. Yeah, that's the ticket. What's right? Jim F. What's the reason why uh, the in World War II, before the Germans attacked, listen to me very carefully, before they attacked Poland, what did they do by degrees? Think about it. Without firing a shot, they did a lot of things and they got a lot of things. What are they doing with this alert that they so-called sent out? What are they doing with it? Why did they do it? Think about it. They did it to see what the reaction was. And in all respects. Why do you think they were telling you to wear a mask? Okay. You wear a mask. Now, a surgical mask is designed so that if I'm operating on a person, okay, and their insides are open, you do not want your bacteria in your mouth and other types of things from going into their body. Why? Because this epidermis is fighting those types of infections, right? If a mask can't prevent hay fever, which it cannot, okay, wish it could for my brother-in-law's sake. I really do wish that his hay fever, he gets it very bad every year. It would be fantastic if he could just wear a surgical mask and all of a sudden, bang, he can't even wear an N95 mask. Don't know. I've tried. I've given him stuff that I have. No. So that means those two things cannot stop an 80 micron pollen from entering his respiratory system. Okay, you're like, oh, okay. So, well, that's 80 microns. How is that going to stop a 305 nanometer virus? That's billions, okay? Which you need it on. You can see a pollen with a regular optical microscope. It's got to be about 1500 to 2000, but you can do it. You can't see a virus without an electron microscope. Okay. I have, Johnny. I have stuff because I've painted Amaron. Okay, Amaron is a bicompound paint that's used on aircraft. Okay, it's a special epoxy paint. You have to use a full respirator powered system with a whole full body, the whole thing. Okay, you got to do this. The literally it hardens in your lungs like concrete. It'll kill you. Okay, so yep, you got to have this forced respirator system. Now you're like, what? Why is it forced? Say, why is it forced? It's forced so that if there's a leak, it's leaking clean, pressured air out so that there's no chance of any bad stuff getting in. Okay. That's what they have at CDC 4 labs. They have these hazmat suits and they literally hook them up to clean, fresh, pressured air. And they blow up like little balloons and it hisses and the air is going in and going out so that no bad stuff can come in. Okay. The virus doesn't know that. I went to the hospital. I was in the hospital. Stone stuff, and they had all these shields. It was like the nurse's station looked like a salad bar. Okay, it was absolutely seeing scientific people doing this was just absolutely nuts because they're saying that this virus is going to know not to go around that hanging piece of plexiglass. It's just gonna run into it and I don't know, fall to the ground or something. Oh yeah, yeah. Uh huh. Uh huh. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, it's junk science. Okay, just like so. Now a solar panel. I'm looking into them for my boat. Why? Well, I'm thinking about a hard Bimini Dodger. Okay, that means a Dodger and a Bimini combined, that's going to be physically hard by made out of vacuum filled composite. Okay. And on top of that, put um, solar panels. Okay. Why? Uh, I say to you is that I want that energy. It's an energy transfer. I want that energy transfer. Why do I want it? My wife and I love going to places that have nothing, which means there's a virgin beach, and there it is, and there's no footprints, there's no nothing, and it's in the middle of nowhere. And we could stay there if we can make water, if we don't have to burn all our fuel and our dinghy, all that kind of stuff, right? And what allows us to do this, what allows us to do this is this: we put in an array of, say, 3,000 watts of solar on my boat, and that charges up 1,600 amps worth of lithium batteries. Okay. Still have lead and lithium. I'm going to mix both of them because lead has properties that lithium does not have. Not going to get into that. Anyway, I'm looking into this. I really am, seriously. And I think that it'll have really great, you know, things to the boat. And I think that it can be done artfully and everything else. And that's why I want that energy transfer. Okay. I used to, my first stand, I had a G20 and I had a solar panel on the roof. Okay. And one day we were up in Niagara and we left the refrigerator on. We had a piezoelectric, it worked on a Peltzer. It's a thermo, basically, you plug it in and it generates, um, it was inefficient, unlike the ones I have now. It doesn't matter. It made the battery dead. We forgot it was plugged in. Okay. So we get to the van back from Canada and we turn the key and it was like tick, 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 tick. This was like, I guess it was like 12:30. So I pulled the refrigerator and everything like this. And I'm looking at the solar panel. I'm seeing the charge say, I'm like, well, we have the solar panel and it's charging. And, we'll come back at night after it's charged all day and see if we can start the engine. It worked. It started the motor. Unbelievable, right? True story. So, yes, sometimes you want that energy transfer. Yeah, I have right now. I have an AGM. I have two AGMs. I have on my boat. I have an 8D and a 4D. They're AGM batteries. They're about 10 years old. They're still in good shape because I use a battery management system, and I take care of it. But I have no other power generation except for my engine. I have a huge 225 amp alternator that I put on my engine. So I'm considering, and I have a starter battery too. So I have really three batteries, but the starter battery is, it's just a starter battery. Um, so I'm considering on how to set that up. So what I was thinking of was replacing the two AGMs with lithium, but again, still keeping the starter battery for starting and always being on that side of the alternator and always keeping a current on this, not to blow the dial stack, no matter what. And then, using a DC DC converter, probably from Victron. So I'm looking at to handle all the management and charging. Then with separate solar panel controllers, again from Victron, to charge that new 4D and 8D. So the calculations I'm having, I again with this new, they make a new. I'll be able to literally run an air conditioner um, for about 8 hours on just one battery. Yeah, it's truly amazing. And again, I could charge that whole thing up at like 150, 200 amps, maybe an hour. I would run the engine for basically an hour every day for generating hot water that would last the whole day. We have a separate water tank. I'd run the engine like 1750, 1800, RPMs. Um, Big thing. And I would usually turn on everything full too. But yeah, I had no generator. I work, it just didn't pay. And even that, if I burned, oh, even with all the mile, I mean, I did 7,200 miles on that boat. And again, I would struggle to burn like, I don't know, two tanks, if that a year. And the tank was 21 gallons. If most half, half a tank a year, even with that. Um, I'm a sailor. I sail. And that thing at 1800, if it used at 1800 the 28 horsepower diesel, it burned like a half a liter an hour. It's just ridiculous and efficient, really efficient. Um, Amazing. And now with I'll be able to run uh, my AC, which means I can heat the water two ways at the same time. Uh, I'll be able to just amazing things I'll be able to do. So I haven't decided the full setup. I'm going back and forth on it, but yeah, I'm excited on thinking about the possibilities of the refit and what it will mean. Because Starlight, she's a really nice boat. She's 35 feet. It'll just be me and the wife, and it only draws 4 feet 1 inch, and it has 110 gallons of fresh water. Plus, I'm installing a water maker too. So I really, I'm excited. I- I'm excited about you know retrofitting her. Yeah, it does, but not in the distances that I'm running for everything. Most of the stuff that I'm going to be doing is going to be I'm not going to change any of the I'm not putting I'm putting only one electrical winch on, but that's literally, I don't know, 3 feet, not even 4 feet. Four, I guess I guess with slack cables, 4 feet from the battery, an 8D. So, uh, yeah. And then I don't want an anchor windlass. I have a windlass, but it's manual, and I like that. I like, going back and forth and using that. I like that aspect of things. Um, I understand what you're saying, but uh, where I'm going to have all that equipment, it's literally going to be inches, and it would require so much different change if I had to go 24. It just, no, I can't do it. It's only a 35-foot boat, guy. So it's all it is. It's an Oceanus 350. It's not a Halus. It's not a Halus 53, 54. Although some of those are just beautiful. I just love them. Um, yeah, not that. I'd like to see myself on that eventually, but no. So yeah, 12 volt, it's fine. And then because like I have all my main power hogs are not even 10 feet from my main bus sources. So it it just doesn't. Yeah, I could see if you're running distant that when you have to worry about that, you're running, and also loads like I was thinking about the water system. Again, I'm not doing a DC. I'm doing an AC. I can get it for $1,500. If I have to, I'd be able to run my other generator. I can run my AC generator. I can it's just 2,000 watts. I can run that. I can run it off the inverter. It leaves a lot of capabilities and possibilities for me. Same thing with the air conditioner. I'm running the air conditioner on AC for the same reason. Um, because again, I can make AC. I'm not going to use. I mean, the air conditioning I'm going to use rarely, but when I do use it, I'm going to need it, so it won't matter. So on that boat, having a 4D and 8D, I had already with my AGMs, I had like tons of power, tons compared to everybody else. I could literally run my batteries and all my set two refrigerators, two freezers, which were the biggest drains, and I ran them for 4.5 days. So yeah, I had and I didn't have any solar, so I'm going to be adding 3,000 watts of solar. Plus, I still have the engine. Plus, I still have my portable, generator. I can always take out. I mean, I'm not going to have to worry about it. Can we see a picture of my boat? Sure, sure. By the way, this is the best mustard. Beavers don't try to have a real hot pastrami sandwich with that. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. I'll just go to my notes again. Starlight. Uh, okay, so this is the interior of Starlight. Uh, okay. This is the 8D box that's in the lazarette. It's on a slide. I made like a little shelf slide so it locks in to it. This is what it looks like together. This is the 4D. It's underneath the king. But it's almost a king size bed in the back. There's a starter battery to the right of that. See, battery charger, the starter battery. This is the um, seawater intake. Okay, and what it does is I have a manifold, so I can actually flush it with fresh water, or I can run my engine on the fresh water, or I can run my see this one that's tie wrap. I can run my engine on the bilge. I can use the engine as a emergency pump. The bilge. See, it's tie wrap. See, because if you open it and you have the open on the seawater, you literally have a hole in the boat, so the water will go the other way. Right. This is the present Bimini I have now. See, see the boom and the topping lift. See, yeah, make it bigger. See? This is her on land out of the water. Okay. And I've looked into all kinds of things. I've looked into inverter air conditioners. Okay. I've looked into, and I might still get it, but I don't think so. Um, See, we're in the water. Fast boat. Okay. I made it from Block Island to Huntington in 12 and a half hours, folks. I was out running a hurricane. I was beating huge powerboats, huge. And when I mean huge, I mean huge. They were hung up on waves. See, it's the Dodge that's gone in now. So, and I keep the engine from my, um, the inflatable, on a little side rack. Just 5 horses. But believe me, she is um, very nice, very fast, and you know. Anyway, let's get back to it. A lot of fun, a lot of work. Taught both of my sons how to navigate on that. It saved my son lost all avionics and his navigation stuff on his last deployment, and they did not teach dead reckoning stuff like this, and believe it or not, in flight school nor at the academy. And he dead reckoned back to the carrier, saved his squadron. Yeah, something I taught him when he was 7. Okay, so I taught my sons that the get one. This requires no batteries. So that's what I taught them. Yeah, because I had a portable GPS system. I had things like that, but again, I had charts and I did everything, and I made sure that they learned how to take bearings, do everything. Yeah. So we used to make a game of it. I mean, many times in the first 4 years we had the boat, we were sailing out of Huntington, and there was a lot of fog in the sound. More often than not, you'd see a big fog bank by Port Jefferson. It would only last about 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning. But I made a game because one of the things that I would uh, actually do is we would use the buoy that's right out Port Jefferson as a waypoint. And I used to make a game, and again, I taught them, the one thing you had to have a good watch. But we used to make a game who would get closer to predicting when the boo would come, what was, the whole thing. Yeah, the currents, everything. And yep, I was outbeat by my son Bobby bunch of times, bunch of times, and he was at the time he was 8. So I was very impressed. I mean, his brother did it also, but you have to realize, James is 3.5 years younger than Bobby. So they're hooked up in socialism. They think that it's going to be the way to go, and they haven't. There's no way they can read about what happened in Russia. There's no way they can even see what's going on. Venezuela used to be the paradise of the South America. I mean, they had everything, and now they have nothing. That's what basically communism does. Communism is essentially a modified dictatorship that's for not even 0.01% of the public, and then everybody else goes into poverty, and they just grind the money. They grind the assets because you can't own anything. The government owns everything, and by doing so, they grind everything into nothing. Okay, everything into worthlessness, corruption, tremendous amounts of corruption, tremendous amounts of fraud. That's why you have literally rocks on rebar being planted in China. You have people painting dead trees green. You have people painting pigs black. If you part of my Patreon page, you'll see these things that I show, and they're it's just unbelievable. The whole cities, ghost cities, falling apart, crumbling from corruption, and now they're having real problems. They have made e-bikes, and they're all blowing up and burning up. They made these e-cars cheaper. They're all blowing up, burning up. I caution you, if you have a device like a toy for your kids, a hoverboard or something like this, do not leave it plugged in alone, unattended. Don't do it unless you're going to run an extension cord to it and somehow put it in an area of your backyard that's in a pit. Not kidding. Yeah. Okay. They lie. They counterfeit everything. Counterfeit bolts. I mean, I had to change my keel bolts on my Starlight because I got a notice from Bidco. We don't know what's in there. So uh, my insurance company says, "Well, you got to do it." So I did it. Turns out my bolts are real, but I can't say that I'm not sorry that I didn't do it. I found something out very interesting. They couldn't get the keel off the boat, even though it's a 6,000 pound cast iron wing keel. They could the 5200 glue that they use to seat the thing with the bolts would not would not come. They wouldn't. So I'm very impressed with 5200 cylinder, to say the least. I Amazing, but no, I they changed all the bolts. We put new bolts in. They're all torqued down. I don't have to worry about it. Um, Nice not to worry about it. I wasn't worried about it before. I was worried after they got that notice here in this country. I hope not. I really, I really do. I don't think so because the Supreme Court is doing fantastic things with the Second Amendment, and they're making sure. So as long as we have our Second Amendment protecting us, you're not really going to see that, okay? Because the Christians and other people are going to trust each other, and we're going to use that to, you know, do proper hunting. I never, ever, ever uh, killed something without mercifully trying to kill it as quickly as I could. If I did not have a shot to kill it, I wouldn't. If it was an sure one shot kill, I wouldn't. I would just let it walk by. I would not. I would not do it. Okay, I wouldn't do it. Same thing with fishing. I would lose a lure, whatever. If the fish swallowed the hook, I wouldn't sit there and rip its guts out of something just to get my no. It would the hooks I used would degrade, rust. Fish would still, in a week, fit the hook could be nothing. So fine, okay. You have to think of this. You have to be responsible. It's part of how you're properly instructed to, whether you're hunting or fishing or whatever, raking clams. I only bought clam rakes that automatically size the clams and would let the clams that were of go right through. I don't, no. I want That's what I want. I want to be able to go back there and get more clams. I would never take more lobsters than I could eat. If it was just me and my family, my boys at the time did it. So my wife and I would take two lobsters. You know, now the clams we would take. I'm not. We would take a bag full of clams, and I would hang them over my my boat in the water. But over the next week, we would consume all of them. Yeah. So I mean, I had clams every day. I mean, I can't tell you how good they are like that. It's just fantastic. Um, the lobsters are like jumping around like you've never seen. I mean, we have crab traps that I used to put out overnight, and I used to use my dive light to bring crabs into the trap. We used to cut up hot dogs. Yeah, some of those crabs we didn't eat the whole crab. We just took a claw. I would they grow the claws back. I took a claw. We would just harvest the ones we had and throw them back, and we would just have one claw. So I have no problem doing any of that. Okay. Yeah, yeah. What about the First Amendment? Well, it's already, as you can see from my thing, unless you go to my Odyssey, it's already being, I was in the doghouse all summer, right, Max? Were you in the doghouse with me? Ooh, ooh, right in the doghouse. Ooh, howdy, howdy. Are you howling? You calling on everybody? Yeah, you love me. You love those people. Yeah, you love me. Oh gosh, I am so. Um, if you have been, I went down to see my mother. My sister. Um, it's you 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 reap what you sow later than you sow and more than you sow. Anyway, so I forgave both of them, and it didn't seem to make a difference in any way, but it made a difference in me because I am now. Thank you, Lord. I put it into God. It's free from me. It's free from my burden. I don't have it. Ah, ugh, I think this is the first one. Well, I'm not gonna die. My wife leaves my waters because she uses the leftovers for plants. Again, on the Patreon site, I can do things, but what I do is I leave specific links to things on my Odyssey page. My Odyssey page is where all my oh hi Janice. Anyway, my Odyssey page is where I left and leave all my videos that have been um okay. Well, glad you're here. I have a Bible show on Wednesday, and I tell the truth as much as I can. I have to use Pig Latin because I don't want to be in the doghouse, so I have to use codes. Everybody's here smart enough to understand that there are people who tell the truth and there are people who don't. I am not monetized. I lost my monetization a long time ago. When I had it, all I did was I used to run fundraisers and run things for getting people, helping people. That's what I did. So, I look forward to going back to the dog park. I had rolled my ankle recently, which it's. I used to be an athlete, and I can't tell you how many times I sprained that ankle. And the thing is, I've broken stuff. It's amazing. The soft tissue stuff just never heals. It never does. Now, yeah, I mean, I'm losing weight, but I could still lose, like, if I was 125 pounds lighter, my play weight, by the way, uh, I would have a lot less problems with a lot of my things. Doing it, okay. Yes, I even said that I cheated. Okay, what did I do? I had a bacon and egg um, Long Island sandwich on a roll, and I had a bagel. That's all I had for that day until that night. And that night I had dinner, and I'll show you the dinner I had. It was at the Jake's 58 Casino has an incredible restaurant. So I not only had this paid for by the casino, but it was a wild caught people, Atlantic salmon. Okay? Very, very good. I do not know what's going to be on the menu tonight, but I will take a picture of it. It's going to be fantastic. Fantastic, fantastic. I usually go very early in the morning when I go. I can you want to see Max, come. Watch this, watch this. You're gonna love this. Max, come up here. Come on. Okay, come up here. Ready? You want to go to the dog park? Max, you want to go to the dog park? The dog park? You like the dog park? The dog park. You like it. Is Ann home? I'll tell you what happened yesterday. What happened yesterday is there was a fire in the server. An AC adapter, okay, a Chinese AC adapter on a hub component, okay, just a stupid old firewire hub, okay. So it's because there's some old drives. And the thing caught on fire. Yeah, all hell was breaking loose. Anyway, so that was an interesting event, and that was beyond interesting. Oh, I'm sorry, Jim. I apologize. What are my thoughts on Speak Ship? Um, you're not gonna believe this, but technically Trump can't be speaker. Okay, nobody with a pending felony could be Speaker of the House. Um, the, I like Jim on the justice thing. I thought he was doing a good job. That's the only reason why I wouldn't want him as speaker, so he could continue to do that. I I think Steve, but the problem I have is why are they doing this now? The other problem I have is why are we doing a CR? Why were they not individual everything voted as an individual line item budget, everything separate. That's the only way to deal with these Democrats, everything separate, and then put on their desk. And this should have been literally started in February. I know. I don't think it's I like I said, I think he I could see the reason why. It's a couple of reasons, but definitely I think he'd make a very good one. But again, you need somebody who's going to move this forward. I don't think I I don't I have no words. No words for what's going on. Okay, I'm embarrassed to call myself a Republican. That's the truth. So for everything they say, that they're as bad, if not worse, in some respects. Because what did they do? They It's never should have came to this point. They had all this time to make sure it didn't come to this point, no matter what the Senate was doing. They could have made it in ways to which that the Senate could not resist it. There are clever ways to do it. Reagan even said if you get 75% of what you want, you're winning. And he was absolutely correct. And that's not what these people did. And that's unfortunately it's they have to do it. So that's my opinion. I'd love to see, I mean, if they that would be very can you just imagine the Dems because they would just go you and then you would see the real thing if Trump was made speaker, right? They will yeah, what was that movie with I forgot Duplicity. Yeah. There are some specific Congress people I wish that we could do that with. He would be one of them. Okay. There's a couple others, but I'm not going to name them, but there's only like three, four. I have no use for most of them. So, but yeah, that's the way I see it. I see it as you know what something happens to them when they get into Washington, and I understand why my great uncle left. My great uncle was asked to be a vice president, and he just didn't. No, he was not going to go along with a lot of stuff. So that's when he no. So he saw that kind of corruption back then. He had the stature of Jimmy Stewart, but it all stopped when he opened his mouth. He spoke like Abraham Lincoln, extremely measured, extremely knowledgeable, extremely dry sense of humor, really, really awesome individual. Awesome. Awesome. Are there any other questions? An hour and 24 minutes we've been on the air. Thank you for the new people who've come here. Thank you for the thumbs up. Thank you for sharing this. Is there anything you would like to know about anything? I said that this title is about reality. The reality is efficiency. That's the reality. Okay. And the reality is that this country right now in 2023 runs on diesel. It's a Bible study. It's on the same. It's a ball on the same channel. It's very good. We take upon a different thing. The real story on the F-35. You mean the one that I'm gonna say this, okay, Jim. Ready? Listen. Fat Amy, and it's getting a $15 billion upgrade. Why? That's all I'm gonna say. And then think about how it has to use death cord and have you eject through the canopy. And people have their cars low jacked. Mercedes Benz, I'm gonna just, I mean, I have Mercedes. I have um, two Mercedes and my van. Okay. And I put in the kill switch on my van and everything else. But I do have phones in the van. Other phones. I, I have this stupid um, Galaxy phone that I only use to fly my drone because the software is so old and the drone's so old that it only works on a stupid phone. That's all I have it for. It's a great data hub too. It's a great for data. At any rate, but I can. It's always in the van. Always in the van. So I can use it to find the van if anybody steals the van. Okay, because it's not like you can't just find it. Okay, there's tons of crap in the van. But the two Mercedes I have, I can literally bring them up on my phone. I can unlock the doors, lock the doors, find out exactly where it is. I mean, all kinds of crap you can do with this thing. You can even make the car go dead. I can tell it to just don't run, stop running. Like if they took the keys or something. This overrides, yeah, amazing. Okay. So it's pretty neat. Yeah, uh, uh, that's another thing I can't talk about. But I'm gonna use an analogy. Okay, the analogy I'm gonna use is this. So, say for example, you have all these cell. Listen to me very carefully. You have all these cell towers, and they're set up every 300 feet, and they're putting out a specific cell signal, and you're detecting from cell to cell that signal. And if anything comes in, okay, so say all of a sudden something comes through and it's not reflecting any cell signal. So all of a sudden you can see a hole and you see it go through this as a whole. That's the original design, essentially. It's literally a hole. So what they've done is they've making it so that it's not a hole. So that instead it is like a repeater on my mast that picks up cell towers, but then send that signal down into the boat and then sends that out so that my phone on my boat in the middle of the water, maybe 50 miles from land, would still work because my mast is 60 feet up, right? Did you see what I've said? Think about it. Think about it. Gold might, but silver can't. If silver goes down, it doesn't matter. Okay. If silver goes down, then lead's gonna go up. If you have no industry, then silver might go down. But right now, you don't have enough silver to meet industry, and industry's not up to full gear yet either. So you need in order to build anything today has a chip in it. Anything. everything. You need this. You gotta have this. If you don't have this, you can't do that. Okay. So this has got that in it. All these. This has got more. More. This has got about uh I don't know, $4, $4 of this and that. Okay. Batteries, all the battery cathodes, connectors. Then you got other ones. You got boron. You got, yeah. Even if you go with their agenda, which is you need it. Okay. Can't get away from it. You have to have it. Gold. Um, I mean, you don't have to have gold for a lot of industries today, but there's a lot of societal things and a lot of SDRs and a lot of things are and derivatives. They're based on gold now. A lot of international stuff is gold. All in the Middle East is gold. Um, so I don't ever see it going to become worthless because again, you just can't make it. You will be able to, but only until you see energy. Energy is the big thing. Okay, it's this thing. This can be made. Believe it or not, this is the one of the last things in the decay of thorium. If you plot about this and you put it into a breeder reactor, thorium, you can actually make this. Okay, you can actually nestle it to where it comes out with this. Okay. I'd much rather it come out with like bismuth 213, something like that that can be used to fight cancer. Okay? But just saying there's a lot of medical isotopes that kind of breeding reactor because it's so stupidly simple that you can chemically make and save a lot of lives. A lot of lives. Um, Again, look at the flight inventory. Look who there's 15 physicists on that flight. Look at 15. What a what are the odds, right? What are the odds? So gold is not really high. Um, Silver is not really high compared to what the dollar is. So the reality is, they okay. So what they did was to keep the price of this at like 21, $22. They issued paper. Okay, so there's paper on the Comex paper. There is, I think it's 300,000 to one now to keep this down. This is this is like an IAU. This doesn't reflect real people treating it like it does, but it doesn't. So when you have all these things called in, which they're going to get to that, then all of a sudden this is going to go through the roof. Okay, um, because you have to have that. Look, you need this in fuse circuits. You need this in circuit breakers. You need this in hyperpower circuits. You need these in contacts for um, MRIs. You need this in every single solitary hyper circuit, any type. You have to have this. You got to have it. It's not like you don't have. You have to have it. If you don't have it, it doesn't work. Yeah, and but again, I always look at this. I always look at knowledge and what's been going on with the knowledge. And the only reason why I say this is because I was on the other side, right? If you look at my CV, I was on the other side. I know how compartmentalized, how yeah, evil, paranoid, you name it, terrible stuff. I don't want to get into it. But Fat Amy is a good explanation. Very easy to fly, by the way. I flew the simulator. I mean, you know, you literally can you could do this in the F and the Super Hornet too. In the Super Hornet, you can go into the computer and you can have this throttle set forward to throttle. You can set the flap gear. You can literally have the thing fly the jet right onto the carrier. I mean, I'm not kidding. You can do it. Look into it. You'll see. It's true. Okay. And the F-35. Oh yeah, you can have that thing. And for the most part, I don't understand why anybody would not want that capability, considering, I mean, you know how that thing flies. It's very, if when you go into a specific manual mode, it's extremely easy to get behind the curve of that plane. Okay, very easy. So, at least from the simulator that I flew, um, I thought the F-18 was F-18's great. It's like it's so easy to fly. It's like flying a I mean, physics. See, that's the thing I didn't get was the physics. So it's one thing to say, how easy it is. Yeah, if you're a pilot and you've flown or whatever and you're good, yeah, yeah. But okay, when you do a braking turn and you hit 7 Gs, that's a whole another thing, people. Okay, and I've pulled eight and a half Gs. Okay, no, I did not look like this, and I can tell you right now, I had a colonel calling out the Lord's name in the back seat. Yeah. So, um, yeah, he was not he was not enjoying it. I was loving it. I thought it was, what's not to love? Um, when you're that age, you feel like you do. I was in the best shape of my life. My son has to maintain. Well, they both maintain the same thing, but as a pilot, test pilot, and he still does. I mean, because again, he's going to be in command of a squadron at the end of this month. So he, you know, he does all these. I mean, he's got this gym set up in his garage, and he does. He hangs. It's like watching the first Batman movie. He hangs upside down with these gravity boots and does all these insane one-handed push-ups and inverted headstands and medicine ball stuff and punching bag stuff. And look, he's in incredible shape for a 34-year-old. I mean, he doesn't even have a six pack. He's got like an eight pack. you know, eh, and yeah, but that's what you have to be in order to do that kind of flying and that kind of. It's extremely physical, and you have to be able to. Um, yeah. Anyway, it was nice to see you too, Janice. and check out those two Bible shows I did. They're underneath the playlist Bible study on this channel. And, you know, that is very productive. But yeah, I mean, my other guy is, you know, since uh, I would say 19, 20, 20 years old, no neck. And it just, you know, it just went up from there. I mean, the bars that this kid left, I mean, they go like this. I mean, it's insane. And, you know, he lives in the gym, lives in the gym. And he lives at the range. I mean, it's amazing he has time to do his work, which he's always working. It's just you know, and you know, there it is. So, uh, not to be honest, they said we're not going to be you, Dad. You know, so okay, if you know that's fine. Yeah, I'm not making excuses, and I'm trying to make up for it now. I enjoy the exercise that I'm getting now. I enjoy doing things that I'm doing now. I'm glad I'm getting better and better every day in every way, stronger, thinner, lighter. I can't. My stomach is empty. I mean, I'm going to the casino tonight. It's fish night, so I can't imagine. Oh, what it was 3 weeks ago? I'm gonna take a picture of it every night now. Every time I go, oh, we had the best scallops we ever had ever. And this was, I tell you, this was the best salmon I've had in a long time. The only one that was better was a place across from FIT in the city, around the corner from the CBS studios, a place called Casper's with a K. That's the only place. But it was uh, then $200 a plate. This was free. Not to mention, eh, not to, one of these days, I'll try to do an audio silent show live from there because they have constant um and the music that would just light up all the copyright like crazy. So I'd have to do a muted live show to where I'm doing, you know, signs and stuff and I'm, you know, saying what I'm doing and whatever. But yeah, my wife won $400 Wednesday. Wednesday yeah, I did you know, I had about $600. Monday, you know, like 2,000. So 1,800, something like that. But yeah, the thing that irritates me most now is that our governor signed a law, and I don't know how she gets away with this. Syntax to where that they will take 43% out of your winnings right then and there. They have an IRS person. Plus, they get you still have to pay federal tax too. So I'm like, well, like they had a guy who won 24,000 it comes down, and he didn't even he didn't he's like I only have 11 something here. They took the rest. It's called taxation without representation, and her excuse was to do it to pay for um. But the way I did it, you could know with Johnny. I understand this. I can't make it any later, so that's as late as I can. It's only an hour. I mean, I put it in the playlist. You can always refer to it. You can join my Patreon and put questions about specific areas of the Bible. The next chapter I'm going through on Wednesday, I'm going to be doing John 4 1. John 4 1. Okay. Continuing with John. So, yeah. And it was good. We had some good feedback on it, and yeah, it was excellent, excellent. And I am learning by me doing this. I'm learning. I've always, anytime I've taught, okay, whether it was a lecture in college, whether it was on a radio show, being interviewed, whatever, I was always learning by questions from either coming up with a specific an analogy to explain it, like I tried to do with Fan Amy, but including flying. The best flying I ever did was when I was instructing others. And a T-38. I had a backseater, supposedly Patriot 45. I won't say his name. But anyway, yeah. So he was green. Um, uh, well, had a pucker up moment with that thing. With I had a bird, a big bird, a vulture. Oof. Uh, yeah, and that was the model. That was the A model. Okay, A model. They used to call that the Widowmaker. And they called that for a reason. Okay, but it was certainly a pucker up moment. It was definitely a pucker up moment. I'm not going to tell you that it doesn't slow everything down, because it does. It's amazing how your brain says "f everything" and focus on this now. I'm sure that the Snickers bar that I had that morning was stopped being digested. Everything stopped. Yeah. So yeah, you're yeah. And I can't, and nobody was shooting at me. That's the that's where I do not equate anything that I've done with my son, because nobody was shooting at me. So I no, it's not the same thing. You it's not underneath the same kind of criteria. Anyway, so is there anything more to discuss? I hope you guys have a great Columbus Day weekend. I'm going to be, unfortunately, replacing the server at my wife's office with two new servers. Okay, so yeah, gonna be a lot of work. Okay, a lot of work. It's okay. I mean, it's what I do. So it's not really that. It's not that. It's I've been doing it for so long. So servers, since '82. That's a long time. And a lot of servers. At any rate, so I want you guys to have a great weekend. Enjoy the weather, and my son's birthday, my eldest son's birthday, is this month, and I just can't believe. Wow. It's just hard to believe. It's amazing to realize that. And I was just holding him in my arms, and it's when that switch goes off and everything changes. Everything changes. I remember placing him on my wife, and she was grimacing in pain, and I put her on him. I mean on her, and she looks at him and she says, "Hi." And he opened up his eyes and looked at her, and I saw the magic of that pain just dissolve away, and he recognized her voice, and he could see just a love between a mother and a son that just is just beyond. It's unbelievable. And everything changed. At any rate, I gotta go.